so they can have access to their players. So they face a critical decision whether to keep hold of their players or to allow the players to be part of a Nations Cup. So it's a certainty on their part, which also can also cause some confusion within the team. Yeah. So other teams in the group, apart from Guinea-Bissau, too, who are just saying silent for now, nothing heard from them. So we all have our issues to grind. So probably at the end of the day, the ground may be even a level one for all of us because it's not in Nigeria that we're grappling with one issue or the other.
Definitely. Just like you said, I feel apart from Guinea-Bissau, who've not had any major incident from their camp, every other team in that group, actually been through one problem or the other. Just like you said, Sudan just sacked their coach. Nigeria as well sacked its own coach. Egypt still, trying to battle the issue of World Club, whether to, just like you said, allow some of these players to go for the World Club Championship and all that. But then I feel that with all this going on, they can still work in our favor. And if we can actually get to stabilize our team a bit, we might actually walk out of that group, with Egypt, even with Mo Salah. I think that Nigeria can give Egypt a run for their money. I don't think, it will be hard for Nigeria to qualify from that group. But moving on is where I have my doubt. Depending on, the opponent we are going to face in the quarterfinals, then I don't see any reason why Nigeria should not qualify for the next round of the competition.
Well, so much about Benatra's sack and the appointment of Austin Eguavoin and the Super Eagles' chances at the Nations Cup. I know we'll be talking about this as the days go by because it will dominate discourse and because it's the main topic of discussion for now. Probably in the next couple of days we'll get to see a little more developments as to how the direction Austin Eguavoin wants to go in regards to raising a very solid team. Is he sticking with the players that have been there, or is he opening the doors to more players, or is he going to go with the home-based players? You never can tell what his plans are. After all, he's the technical director of the NFF, so he could have had these plans in place for a while. So it's an opportunity for him to implement some of those plans that's already drawn up for the development of football in Nigeria. So before we take this short break, just a quick one. The Falconets are through to the fourth round of the 2022 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers. The opponents from Congo DR withdrew. The first leg match played in Kinshasa, so the Nigerian team won 4-0. So they felt there was no need coming for the return leg in Nigeria. If you were in their shoes, wouldn't you have done the same thing?
Well,
the team came and whitewashed you 4-0 in your home. And what's the point traveling to their home for the return leg?
Well, it's actually an obligation. It's something you have to do. If you lose the first match 100-0, you are expected to actually honor the second leg. But then, one thing I must actually say is that, I'm proud of what these Falconets have been able to do. I think in their last round, they were able to navigate their way, on 11 goal aggregate. They won the first leg 7-0, came home, came back to Nigeria, and we actually expected them to, drop the pedal a little bit, and it was actually what they did. But this time around, went further, DR Congo, a more stronger opposition, and they were able to win 4-0 away from home. It shows that the future is bright as far as the women's football is concerned. As far as the Super Falcons is concerned, we're actually
Falconets.
I'm talking about them getting promotion to the Super Falcons. In recent times, we've talked about how the Super Falcons have not been performing up to their best and not living up to that expectation. So maybe with these girls, coming from the Falconets, with the right, progression, I feel we have a very good team in the future.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations to the Falconets, and we look forward to the fourth round of the qualifiers. We hope that they will get through and get to play in the 2022 FIFA Under-20 World Cup, which will take place in Costa Rica. We'll take a short break now. When we return, more for you on the Grande Sports Center. Welcome back. Still the Grand Sports Center, your one-stop sports show where you always enjoy the very best of sports. Next we'll talk basketball and the man in the news, Stephen Curry. Everybody was looking forward to his breaking that NBA three-point record, which presently stands at 2,973 points, held by Ray Allen. He presently needs about 10 three-pointers for him to make that figure or surpass it. But in the last game over the weekend against Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors actually lost, and Steph Curry was just limited to 3 three-pointers from 14 attempts. Well, it's like the quest for breaking the record is even overshadowing the fact that the Golden State Warriors lost. Yes, and well, that goes to tell you how well Stephen Curry has played this season, and for the Golden State Warriors fans, I'm sure many of them would have taken a defeat if he had broken that record.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, this is one of the various occasions where you don't get to see Steph Curry doing his thing, and just like you said, they'll actually take that 3 points over that win. But then it remains to be seen what might actually happen in the next game. He might actually do that in the next game, because on his day, Steph Curry can actually do 3. He can actually do 7, I beg your pardon. So I expect him to close in on that record as soon as possible. Probably the next. I think he's removed 3 out of it. 7 more to go, which I believe he can do that in the next game or the following game after that.
Yeah, in other matches, Reggie Jackson scored at the point nick of time, 2.2 seconds left for the Los Angeles Clippers, as they beat Orlando Magic 106 to 104. Actually scored 25 points that match.
I think it's actually a superb one. Clippers this season, they've shown consistency. They've shown that this is not the Clippers of last season. You know how they played last season. They were not able to actually make it to the playoff. But this time around, with the guys like Reggie Jackson, guys like Paul George, who are really playing well at the moment, this is actually a team to look out for in the NBA this season.
And the Utah Jazz won their 7th straight match as they beat Washington Wizards 123 to 98 points. Donovan Mitchell actually helped himself to 28 points in that match.
Yeah. I think Utah too, they're a good team with guys like Rudy Gobert, who to me is the best defender in the league. And in terms of field score percentage, I think he's high in that regard. And when you have a player like Donovan Mitchell, who is also one of the all-stars as far as the NBA is concerned, who gives you 100% and who can actually change the game for you, I believe you can actually go on that kind of run, and it's actually a good thing to see a team like Utah Jazz go on that run.
For the Memphis Grizzlies,
when it comes to that team and the way he's playing this season, I see him going so far if he can continue like this.
In other matches, Cleveland Cavaliers beat Sacramento Kings 117 to 103 points. Miami Heat beat Chicago Bulls 118 to 92 points. And of course, San Antonio Spurs lost at home to the Denver Nuggets 127 to 112 points. So much about the NBA. And quickly we'll talk about Formula One. Not every time we're going to talk about Formula One on this show, but something interesting happened over the weekend that we cannot just look the other way. Formula One was in the news. In fact, one of the biggest sporting events of last weekend was the Formula One Championship, the Grand Prix at Abu Dhabi that produced the Formula One champion for 2021. Yeah. It was a clearly contested one between Lewis Hamilton, 8-time champion, and Max Verstappen, who was chasing his very first title. And at the end of the day, it was the Dutchman Verstappen that actually got it, and just edging Hamilton out after a very pulsating and closely and keenly contested race. At the end of the day, we could say, can we say the better driver won this year? It's strange to say better driver won when we are talking about Lewis Hamilton being the other person.
Yeah.
So, but can we say at the end of the day, after all said and done, can we say the better driver won?
Well, for me, I would say it's just the determination from Max Verstappen for this season Formula One. We all know how the season started from the beginning of this season in Formula One down to the last day. What we saw is total drama. I could remember the first race of the year. It was in Bahrain. Hamilton and Verstappen they had a clash. The second race, I think at the Emilia Romagna, they had to ask Verstappen to cede, position to Hamilton. Like that. I think there was another point again where there was a crash between the Mercedes team. It was just so rowdy. I don't think there've ever been any Formula One season that's as competitive and interesting as this season.
But this is good for the sport.
It's good for the sport.
Because in the last couple of years, 2-3 years, Hamilton has been holding sway. Nobody actually challenging him. He's been having an easy ride to the title. Yeah. So it's good to see Max Verstappen and doing it, and so showing that he can even do better. Yeah. So that should be good for the sport.
It's good for the sport. I think it's good for the sport, for the image of the sport. And it makes the sport interesting, just like we're talking about it. A lot of people talked about Formula One over the weekend, not just because Verstappen won, but because of the controversy, surrounding it. And it's actually a good thing, that people get to talk about Formula One. This is something that we don't do often, but because of this drama, we just come and we're talking about it, which is actually good advertisement for the sport itself.
There's need, if you ask me, for the authorities to take a look at their rules and regulations, because there are a lot with a lot of gray areas that need to be ironed out. That's why we've seen so many protests and so many not too straightforward decisions being taken. Sometimes you take a decision in favor of a particular driver, then the same offense, they will take a decision, another decision in favor of another driver. So it's like there's no consistency in implementation of rules and regulations. And as you are well aware, the Max Verstappen's victory yesterday was greeted with a lot of protests. Yeah. Mercedes, the team of Hamilton, protested, and that delayed his celebration until about 4 hours or 5 hours later, when the protest was now deemed as not tangible enough, before he now started celebrating again. He has taken away that initial euphoria that greeted the championship. And of course, Mercedes are not backing down still. They say in the course of the week, they are still going to, they have 2 more protests to lodge and everything, whatever that is all about. But if at the end of the day, it happens that this championship, this victory of Max Verstappen is overturned, so not be too good for the image of the sport. But then we hope it doesn't get to that. But then finally, basically, there's need for them to cross the T's and dot the I's for the and there will be no loopholes for teams to exploit in terms of raising unnecessary eyebrows for some decisions taken.
Well, for me, I feel the FIA were actually intentional with some of those decisions. And why I believe so is the last race at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, something happened, and someone was allowed to go with it. And the part of it is that they want the sport to be competitive. I think that's my own opinion. They want the sport to be competitive, so they actually want it to go down to the last day. So that was why I feel, they were actually, playing hanky-panky with the whole thing. Today you come up with a decision, tomorrow you're actually, doing otherwise. It can only tell you about something. They're actually trying to make the sport competitive as competitive as ever. Because when you look at the season, there is no driver, talk about Hamilton and Verstappen, that will say he's not been robbed one way or the other. So in a way, it's actually controversial and it's actually fair to both parties, because this other team was robbed, the other team was robbed. So you have your complaint, I have my complaint. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for the sport. But I think they should actually reduce the controversy, so as it will not be like one party was robbed and the other was actually giving the trophy.
Okay, so at the end of the day, we just hope that tempers will calm down and the results we allowed to stay, because for Max Verstappen, for a lot of neutrals, it's a breath of fresh air, Max Verstappen, because like I said, Hamilton has actually dominated the sport in the last 2, 3, 4 years. So forget another champion this year. It's like a breath of fresh air for many people, including myself. So Max Verstappen, for now, enjoy your victory. And we hope that it doesn't get to the point where you'll be stripped of it again. I hope that will not get to that. Well, at this junction, we'll take a break again. And when we return, we'll go to the leagues in Europe to find out how it went down over the weekend in Spain, Italy, England, Germany, and France. That will be after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the Grande Sports Center, your one-stop sports show where you always enjoy the very best of sports. Now we'll do a review of league matches that we played over the weekend. We'll start with England, where a lot of action. We saw a series of 1-0 wins for big teams. Liverpool 1-0 against Aston Villa, and Manchester City 1-0 against Wolves. Manchester United 1-0 against Norwich, and each of these goals were scored via penalties. Yeah. Is it just a coincidence or a deliberate plan?
Well, somebody tagged this weekend as a festival of penalties. All the teams, Chelsea,
the big teams for that matter,
big teams, all scored one match.
Chelsea had to win 3-2, and the final goal scored in stoppage time.
It was actually an incredible weekend, if you ask me, and it can only tell you one thing. We're actually getting to, the business end of the season already. When it's December, it's always very intense, and these teams try to grind out results, and which is actually part of the reason why you are seeing, this one new result. I'm not actually surprised, but then it remains to be seen how this whole December setting is going to look like, with so much matches. I think you have to play like every 2 or 3 days, just to make sure that they complete the season well in time.
Yes, indeed. And on Sunday, yesterday, we had some very interesting results too. Burnley and West Ham played out the 0-0 draw. Leicester beat Newcastle 4-0, while Crystal Palace beat Everton 3-1. And Leicester, after the disappointment of Europa League, and they came back stronger against Newcastle. Newcastle, we thought that after winning their very first match last week, where they beat Burnley, that they would have been having that momentum. Yeah. But it was not to be. As Leicester, I tell you, actually played good football yesterday.
Well, it's back to reality for them. It means that they need to work harder, to make sure that they stay up. It's not about the money now. You just have to stay in the league. And then for Leicester City, I think it's a breath of fresh air for them. In recent times, they've not been, particularly good. They played draws, lost, in some games where they are not supposed to lose. I think the one I'm disappointed the most is that the one they played against Southampton. That game was actually there for them to win, but they actually, drew that game. And coming up against Newcastle, a 4-0 win for them, I think is actually a good way to go and the right step in the right direction.
Yeah, and for Crystal Palace, after losing 2 straight matches, they came back smoking yesterday, beat Everton 3-1, who also had a good outing in the midweek against Arsenal. We thought that they would build on that momentum. So it's like you must have to commend the big teams for having consistency, because it's not actually easy to have a consistent run of wins in English Premier League, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think that's why you even how do I put it now? You appreciate the 1-0 scoreline the more. It shows that, when you are big and you know how to manage your result. Even when you are not playing well, you are getting the result. So big teams are always like that. And when it's not going your way, you always find a way to get the result. And that is the difference between them and some of these teams who are trying to compete with them at the top level.
Away from England, we'll go to Spain, where in La Liga, it's like Barcelona are still having a very patchy run of form. Xavi beginning to see reality now. After first two wins, he had a loss, lost out to Barcelona, and yesterday it was a draw. So it has not actually gone to plan or the way he planned it, talking about Xavi now, because everybody thought that with the coming of Xavi, there will be a complete turnaround of the team, but it appears that's not the case here.
Well, I've always said it, and I'll continue to say it. Barca's problem is they need to be patient. Just like I said, Rome is not built in a day. So this team is actually going through a process. And until that process is done, you are not going to start seeing the result immediately. We have so many young stars who have talent, who are future stars, but the talent has not yet been announced. So you need time for this team to gel. Anybody who is waiting for Barca to win the league this season, they're waiting eternity. Give Xavi time to actually build the team, because this is actually a building time. There's always a period in a team, history where you go out of limelight. That period, what you do at that moment is actually very crucial to your survival. And I think Barca need to take time, take a chill pill, and be patient. Their time will eventually come.
Yeah, you're talking about La Liga title. That is already out of the question. We're looking at top 4 finish. So that's the only thing. Now, if they can salvage something this season, but you never still can tell.
Yeah.
But with Real Madrid now, about 15 points, I mean, winning their 10th game in a row, they're about 15 points or so ahead of the next team in second place. Yeah. And they did their credentials a lot of good the more yesterday with that 2-0 win over Atletico Madrid. What better way to tell people that, hey, what achievement is no fluke than beating the defending champion and your city rivals?
Yeah, I think for me, Madrid is actually running riot, showing to every other team in the La Liga the way it should be done. Just like Barcelona, they had their own problem. And I feel like Ancelotti has been able to stabilize that. He's got Vinicius scoring. He's brought out the best in Karim Benzema. A lot of good things happening with Madrid at the moment. And what a better way to actually make a statement, beating the defending champion and your direct rival for the title. It's actually a good weekend for Real Madrid.
Yeah, talking about good weekend, Villarreal finally got to win. Yes, they beat Rayo Vallecano 2-0. Yeah. After that midweek win over Atlanta in the UEFA Champions League, probably they've gotten their groove back, and we're going to see them play as their team, as the quality of players they have actually shows. Yeah. Because the quality of players they have and the manager they have, many feel that Villarreal should be doing better than they're doing in La Liga this season.
Definitely. I also feel that I share that sentiment as well. When you have a team like that and you have a manager like Unai Emery in charge, and you can't afford to be, you can't afford to be struggling, even if you are not keeping it up with the big boys. I think the matches you are expected to win, and in those matches this season Villarreal have not been fantastic, but it seems like that win against Atlanta has given them that renewed confidence that their team is actually good enough. And I think from there on I expect them to actually kick on, and let's see how it goes for them before the end of the season.
Yeah, Real Betis is one team that seems to mean business this season. After beating Barcelona, inflicting Xavi's first loss, they also beat the Real Sociedad yesterday. Yeah. 4-0, emphatic win again. And for Real Sociedad, they've been among the top teams in the league this season. And for them to lose 4-0 to Real Betis speaks volume of the quality of this Real Betis side. And given the fact that they also beat Barcelona, so it just portrays the fact that this maybe they are worth taking a second look at, talking about Real Betis.
Yeah, definitely. I think the team is worth taking a second look at. I think we have a wonderful manager in Manuel Pellegrini in charge of this Real Betis team. And when you look at the talent they've been able to recruit, the likes of Nabil Fekir, the likes of Marc Bartra, Christian Tello, Sergi Canales, all these guys have actually been in the league for a very long time, and I believe they have the quality to halt any team in the league, be it Madrid, be it Atletico Madrid, be it even Barcelona. As you've seen them do to Barcelona, and right now they've been able to actually, showcase their credentials, what they're about this season by beating Real Sociedad 4-0, a spectacular result if you ask me. And then for Real Sociedad, I think it's more like the same thing is happening to them this season. What we witnessed with them last season started very well, and then at one point they started dropping. This is the same thing we begin to see of them once again. It shows that they've not actually learned from their mistake. Let's just hope that this whole downward trajectory is not does not continue beyond the point where they are at the moment.
Also, away from La Liga now, let's quickly look at the Italian Serie A. Very interesting results recorded this weekend. Topping side actually did not win, I think, apart from Inter Milan. Inter beat Cagliari 4-0.
Yeah.
And they seem to have gotten back to top of the table, if you ask me. And because likes of AC Milan were only able to play 1-1 draw with Udinese, while Napoli, on their part, actually lost at home to Empoli. Yeah. So Inter taking advantage of the poor results by the other team, title chasing sides to go top. And they are the defending champions. You see them retaining their title this season. It didn't start too well, but they showed a lot of doggedness for them to come back, and now they are back to the summit of the table.
I think it's actually a good one for Inter. Napoli, AC Milan started the season well, and it seems like Napoli have been affected by that injury to Victor Osimhen, and I still expect them to bounce back. But Inter, for me in the Serie A, they are playing on another level. Like, I didn't actually expect them to be playing like this after losing some of their key players. But then Edin Dzeko has actually come in and filled in that loss. When they lost Lukaku, a lot of people actually thought that it's over for them, but Dzeko is actually doing a tremendous job for this Inter side. And Inzaghi too, I didn't actually expect Inzaghi to actually turn the fortunes of Inter at this point in time, but he's actually doing a good job, and I expect it to go down to the wire, down to the very last day of the league, or even 2 or 3 matches to the end of the season.
And away from Serie A now, let's look at the German Bundesliga quickly. Bayern Munich have extended their lead at the top to 6 points after they came back from behind to beat Mainz by 2-1. Bayern just keeping it flowing, both in the Champions League and in the domestic league. Yeah. And they're doing so well presently. And the way it is the title is theirs for the taking again. Like in recent times when we had the RB Leipzig, trying to push them. Yeah. Dortmund tried it this, but it seemed to have pulled away from Dortmund, because Dortmund only managed a draw over the weekend. So for Bayern Munich, it's just about maintaining their momentum, and then it becomes business as usual.
Yeah. I think what I think about Bayern this season is like they seem to be on another level. Though at one point in time they were not having the best of time, but when they picked, you could see that they look unstoppable. And the way I see it, the way Dortmund is playing, the way RB Leipzig is playing, I don't see anybody challenging them for the title this season. You could as well just hand over the title to them already.
But for me, the team that I look forward to should be Hoffenheim. Yeah. Hoffenheim have been silently rising up the table, silently delivering the goods. They hardly lose. Then last weekend again, they did the biggest one that surprised me so far. Beat Freiburg 2-1. Freiburg did not lose in this league until about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. They're one of the most consistent teams in the Bundesliga. And so they are a very solid side. At some point, they were in the top 4. So I think we joked with it in our program, Sports Around the World, that should the Bundesliga end that weekend, which was about 2 weeks ago, they would have played. They would play in the Champions League. Yeah. That was, how remarkable what they've done is so for Hoffenheim to have gone a way to beat Freiburg. That speaks volume, and that's just, I mean, part of a reflection of how they've done this season. Offenham, I mean, they've actually done very well. So they could be one surprise package if they continue in this vein, that we actually may be able to give Bayern Munich a push for that title, if you ask me.
That's actually possible. With the way they're playing and the way they're going, they can actually, push Bayern to the limit. But it remains to be seen how far they can actually go with it. If they continue like this at this pace, they can actually give Bayern
for our own Akpoguma, Kevin Akpoguma for Offenham, I hope that they actually do well, because he was plagued with injury last season and the team did not do too well. But this season is playing regularly and the team is doing well. That can only be good for Super Eagles. That's my own take on it anyway. Well, as we wrap it up on the show, quickly the French League One. Paris Saint-Germain continued their dominance as they beat Monaco 3-1. Mbappe with 2 goals in that match. And it's just, after losing the league title last season, I think Paris Saint-Germain, they will settle for nothing less than the title again this season. Though I know that Champions League is their main priority, but the French League One actually is something that they feel should be their birthright. Yeah. I mean, given the caliber of players that they have at their disposal.
Definitely. They could as well, use their second team and, they'll actually be on cruise control right now. But what they've been able to do this season in the French League One, they've been able to grind out results. Unlike last season where, when they fall flat. But this season, I see a new PSG with, that fighting spirit.
And it's like Messi is beginning to settle down.
Yeah.
Mbappe scored 2 goals. Messi provided one of the assists, just like it was in Champions League. Yeah. Like that telepathy is beginning to form. And if that thing happens, well, I pray for teams in Ligue 1 and also the Champions League opponent, because this is what other teams would not want to see happen. They're going to form that telepathy, and it's going to be very amazing if you ask me.
Yeah.
Well, this is where we wrap it up on the show for today. I want to thank you, Austin Arome, for being part of it all, for helping us and talking us through all the various issues we've had to discuss. We'll be back same time, same station tomorrow, God willing, and as usual, I'll be looking forward to having you join us once again. I also want to thank the entire production crew and done a wonderful job behind the scene. Donald Agbavobo. If you have enjoyed your time with us, let's do it again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day.